Get in, nerds. We are playing Victoria 3. So, I've finally gotten access to Western Central Africa here. So, I think we're going to begin today by expanding in that direction, starting with annexing Darfur. Even going to stop me. Germany, maybe. That's interesting. Ottoman Empire can't step in. Morocco might. Zanzibar might. No one else down here I'm concerned about. But Great Britain would not. I think I can take Germany in Africa at least. Yeah, their fleet's quite small. Let me see where I am with my fleet construction. I could wait a little bit longer. I'm going to wait a little bit longer, because I would prefer to have ships ready to go. I'll wait about 4 weeks. Ooh, event. Spread thin. The limited political resources of the petite bourgeoisie have made the group's leadership question its membership in both the American Communard Fellowship and the Anti-Ottoman Association. And for office supplies, on average, the auditor turned to page the relevant entry and ran his eyes down the column, 300 crowns per month. The man who sat across from him, for the man who sat across from him, the world was beginning to spin. You are certain? And 1,200 for work-related travel expenses. Excuse me, he managed. Could I have a copy of the manifest? I need to meet with my colleagues at once. There's no reason to remain in the American Communard Fellowship. They leave that. That would destroy that, which would be unfortunate. Membership in the Anti-Ottoman Association is no longer useful. They leave that. Or abandoning either would be unwise. I'm going to keep them in the Anti-Ottoman Association. So I don't need an American Communard Fellowship, it turns out, which is fine. And there that goes. So, this thing keeps saying Egypt might try to raise its autonomy, but... Power projection issue again. Alright, I think maybe... Alright, we're going to wag the dog a little bit. Annex the country. I want the whole thing. Because... I'm going to actually raise my conscripts here. That's going to get Egypt's whole... that's going to get Egypt... That's going to get my army power projection up and Egypt's resistance to my involvement down. I'm also going to build up a little bit more strength in this army. Build it up to just a baseline, a 15, 10, 5. Actually, we'll build up to a 15, 10, 5, and then we'll do an additional 5 infantry. Anarchists on trial. A particularly bloody armed robbery in New York has led to the arrests and convictions of 2 Frenchmen known to be anarchists. The evidence against the men is tenuous, and the judge has been accused of both racial and ideological prejudice. Racial prejudice. He hates the French. That's very funny given modern America. Spent bullet casings at a robbery. That was what the law enforcement determined was the culpable link. Finding anarchist literature was the cream on top of the mash. Anyone would have done, but these Frenchmen wear a convenient bow tie. It wouldn't take long for a jury to convict them. Murderers deserve a taste of their own medicine. 2% of French pops in the United States become more radical. Triggers the event facing the chair in 1,095 days, so about 3.5 years. Or a lengthy prison sentence will suffice. 2% of upper sternum pops in the United States of America become more radical. So, the United States has the death penalty in history, in this time. Although it's done at the state level. Ooh. Let me see, this was in New York. I am going to look up if New York was a death penalty state in 1905. because that's how I want to make this decision. Don't ignore that sound. It's definitely, everything is definitely fine. Because I think that's what should design this. I think from an optimization perspective, I would definitely pick the second one. But from but I think from a role-playing perspective, history, capital punishment. Second most executions of any state from 1608 to 1972. This is from Death Penalty Information Center website. After Virginia, before the invention of the electric chair, most were carried out by hanging, though other methods, blah, 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 blah. Though there were no prisoners on New York's death row until 2007, no executions taking place since that of Eddie Mays in 1963. Most notable execution, blah, 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 happened in 1890. Milestones in abolition and reinstatement. It's been abolished and reinstated several times in New York. Originally abolished in 1860. Okay. All right. So there was advocacy for so it was accidentally abolished in 1860 to 1860, but the mistake was corrected in 1861. I see. They abolished hanging, but didn't provision anything else. So they corrected that mistake in 1861, and then there was a movement for abolition in 1920. So the death penalty was legal. Was the law of the land in New York at this time. So I'm going to pick the first one, which is worse for me, but it is what it is. I hope that doesn't deteriorate relations with France too much. Relations with France are pretty good, given all of our ties. We own 18% of their economy, and the number continues to go up. Frankly, well, let's wait till I'm done building before I make any claims about my investment pool's efficiency. Is there anything more I can do to Egypt? I'll exempt them from service. That's what I'll do. Alright, so now that the private sector is using the entire construction queue, let's see what the cash flow looks like. Alright, they are draining the investment pool, so we'll leave the construction sector where it is. We are making very good progress with our national debt. We're down to paying 20K in interest a week, which is quite modest. Thoroughly modest. And the Army of Africa is increasing in strength. Franklin Delano has become reckless. I don't remember if he always was. Maybe he always was. But he is an artillery commander, which is also pretty cool. Hey, there we go. Now they're going down in Liberty Desire. Perfect. I did it. Aw, so good at things. We're still importing quite a bit of steel. I'm going to put a minor tariff on steel. Let's see if we can make our own steel. We're importing our own coal. Legislation imposed on Colombia refused. They've refused our demand to enact right of assembly. Gosh dang it. They chose pride over progress, he reports. The silence that follows lies heavy on the council chamber. Relations are bad, which is interesting. I'm going to improve them. I have close to enough leverage to once again bring Persia into the power block. But, I don't know, that went kind of bad for me last time. Ooh, Flemish mass immigration. Wonderful. So it doesn't look like anyone's going to step in my way here, so that should be fine. I think I'll just be able to start running westward. And that'll be fine. Depending on how things go, I may end up making some trades with France just to consolidate some territory here. Marching against peace. Protesters inspired by the fierce rhetoric of Absalom Fraser have carried out a march in Washington, calling for military intervention against the communist regime in the French Commune. What began as a few dozen men shouting in the streets swelled to a corpus numbering the thousands. What began as a peaceful demonstration grew to chants of fire and fury, all baying for blood. What began as a show of fear transformed into a call for action. Their demands were simple: tear out the communard menace, no matter the cost. We must save the communard people from themselves. Extra maneuvers for diplomatic play, extra radicals from political movements, extra war exhaustion from casualties. For 5 years, 5% of lower sternum pops in DC become more radical and deteriorates relations with the French Commune by 20. Or the people's energies are best spent on something more constructive. 5% of upper sternum pops become more radical in DC, but Absalom Fraser gets reduced popularity and none of the other modifiers. I'm going to go with the second one. France has been a staunch ally of the United States before and will be so again. I've decided. Loving this number. Alright, there's the war. This should be really quick. Is Egypt going down in Liberty Desire? They surely are. They've still got that modifier for differential power projection. Yeah, I think that's largely due to the fact that we're a national militia nation, and so we've got a hard limit on how big our standing army can be. That's based on our number of stats. It is quite of states rather. It is quite large. Maybe I should build myself an Alaska Defense Force. That would be fun. Maybe I will. Maybe I will. Delicious water. Water from a straw. Fancy that. Alright. What's our trade interdiction fleet look like? Yeah, look at that. Still, we're about finished with these cruisers, actually. So, I'll wait a few more weeks, and then I'll test out what I've got for my, my Atlantic fleet. After that, I think... Actually, now's a good time to look at that. I've got a lot of... There we go. Beautiful. Actually... Oh my goodness, the regular army's leader has passed away or something. Let's get ourselves a general. Who do we want? John Pershing would be a good person to lead the regular army. Does Grifter do anything for you as a commander? Reduce supply efficiency and increase supply consumption? Not good. What about Adna Ramenza Chaffee? Yeah, let's put him in charge. He's a good, reliable leader. All right, so that means we need someone else for the Marine Corps. Let's grab Jefferson Wickel. He's an offensive planner. All right, General Chaffee. Time for a promotion. General Chaffee. Time for another promotion. Nice. He's recently promoted modifiers. Oh, 10 loyalty. Cool. Very cool. So, Army of Africa successfully conquered Darfur. We'll get incorporating the territory. Next, we're going to go after Wadai. Equatorial Africa. No involvement. Okay, so we will send... let me see. The home defense fleet is... So... I'm actually going to send the trade interdiction fleet to project power here. Oh, Communard Senegal, interesting. And that'll give us involvement, and that'll be good. I will also take the Army of Africa and throw an additional. We've got a unit of irregular infantry there, which we do not need. Let's take the Army of Africa. And we'll add an additional 5 units of artillery. Here. Now, let's talk about fleets. A lot of my fleets have old, tall ships that are not good. We have early ironclads here in the Pacific Fleet. Those need to go. The Home Defense Fleet has an early ironclad that's got to go. Wait, is this an early ironclad? Yes. Then we have some old iron frigates. I'm actually going to select all of them and decommission them. And then for torpedo craft, we have torpedo boats, which are also old. Alright, so the home defense fleet needs a full redesign. Let's go ahead and grab 6 more pre-dreadnoughts. For cruisers, we'll grab our original, not our trade interdictor, but our other one. We'll throw 20 in there. And then for torpedo craft, we're going to grab our torpedo boat destroyers, and we're going to throw 20 in there. And then these other torpedo craft, we're going to decommission. Perfect. Now, Pacific Fleet. Oh my gosh, we have 21 iron frigates in here. Alright, so that's not ideal either. What about the Oceanic Fleet? The Oceanic Fleet is also all early ironclads. Alright, so we got a lot of old ships here. We're going to take our armored cruisers. Select all, change template to the mod 1885, and retrofit. Because that change we can make quite easily. These iron frigates we can select all and decommission. And then these early ironclads, we can decommission them. So for capital ships, we'll just throw in 5 pre-dreadnoughts. For cruisers, we'll throw in 20 of our modern armored cruisers, and then these are also torpedo boat fleets. I am going to decommission them as well. And then we'll throw in... Oh. Huh. Okay, didn't know that would happen. That's alright. Now, what does that do to the ones that I just put in the queue? Maybe it destroys them. Well, that's annoying. Alright. Navies, create fleet. Station in the Great Plains, recruit admiral. Who did I have? Was it Ulysses Emmett? I think so. Alright. Mod 1885. Pre-dreadnoughts will throw in 5. Cruisers, mod 1885. Armored cruisers will throw in 10. And torpedo craft, mod 1899s will throw in 10 flotillas of torpedo boat destroyers. And that should be good to go. So, where does that put us in the ledgers? We're fine. We're fine. Alright, next up, leftist representatives threatened. Ew, the submarine. Okay. This is where I can look at blockade strength. Here in the tech stuff. Okay, so that's where I need to find that. So, now that I know that, let's take a quick look. So this is... Okay, that's not what I want. So, the torpedo boat destroyer... The torpedo boat destroyer has blockade strength 50. The submarine only has 25, which is curious. For the pre-dreadnought, the armored cruiser... Come on. Come on. Has blockade strength 250. Interesting. So submarines really don't... Submarines are not necessarily your top dogs of blockading, which is interesting. Now, what about light cruisers? They've got a blockade strength of 350, so they're very good. Seaplane tender, same deal. Aircraft carriers probably have a zillion. Aircraft carriers have 1,000. And just for comparison, pre-dreadnoughts have... Come on. You can do it. You need to be right at the bottom. You need to call it up at the top, but then be at the bottom. There you go. Have blockade strength of 1,250. Okay, alright, so surface ships are really what you want for blockading. Fine. Leftist representatives threatened. A group of local representatives in the Assembly of New York have been threatened with expulsion from the body due to their association with the Socialist Party of America. Their defenders have denounced the measure as inimical to democracy. 5 men before us have been erected on a platform that is absolutely inimical to the interests of both this body and that of the United States of America. They are supporters of revolutionary tyranny, foreign agents, and the consorts of hostile nations. It is because of this that they have no right to stand in this position of power. I am immediately calling for a vote on their suspension from this body. The Socialist Party of America deserve everything that they get. 5% of trade union member pops in New York become more radical and trade unions weaker. Or it was a mistake to deprive them of opportunities for... It is a mistake to deprive them of opportunities for peaceful discussion. Evangelicals mad. 2% of upper stern pops in New York more radical. I'm going to pick that second one. That's what I'm going to do. Investment pool's looking good. All right. What's my... Equatorial Africa, where am I? I'm observant, getting 92 per week. So that should be up to a level where I can continue to expand that way pretty soon. Pretty soon. That's Great Britain. Britain's fleet continues to grow larger. Now, I've disbanded a lot of ships recently, so my fleet's a little stronger, a little smaller than it could be. But I am slowly building up the necessary ships to continue to do all the stuff I want to do. So we'll call this the Oceanic Fleet. The Oceanic Fleet. Ooh, health system up to 4. Lovely. Other institutions. Institutions are all looking good. I've still got plenty of population growth, but I've got plenty of unemployed people and peasants, so it's not... I'm not hurting for population. Let's put it that way. Alright. I could snag Witu, Zanzibar, and Mombasa, but I'm not in a hurry. Tungi is a British subject. That would let me get to Burundi and these interior states, though, and that would be pretty cool. Alright, Equatorial Africa interest here increased. That means I should be able to do what I wish to do. 5.2 infamy. Does anyone stop me here? Spain, maybe. Spain maybe stops me, but that's a good opportunity to go after other stuff if they decide to, so let's do it. Once again, we will mobilize the Army of Africa and send them to the area. Zeckler mass immigration. I'm also going to rename this the Army of East Africa, because soon I'll have an Army of Central Africa. I've decided. Alright, how's the investment pool doing? The investment pool is still doing well. Oh boy, I got mighty coughs. Government's still looking good. Next election is until 2008, so I can kind of do as I like. These numbers are looking very, very good from the high legitimacy, so I'm feeling pretty pleased. Where am I with loyalists? Yeah, there we go. 25% of the country or more. Excellent. Gotta love that. Doesn't look like anyone's going to stop me. There's an uprising in Tunisia, which could prove to be a problem for the communards. We'll see. In any case, I'm not worried about their ability to accomplish that. So what would my goal be if we were trading states? I definitely want... The tough one's going to be Bornu. I want to take Bagmiri before I take Bornu, because... Oh no, these areas are connected around this lake. I forget what lake this is. I think this might be Lake Chad, but I could be wrong. No, I think it is, because this is Chad, right here. Oil discovered in western Cuba. Lovely.
Oh, everyone loves oil.
Alright. Now I've got a pile of cash in the pot. I think I can start building stuff again. So, steel has become expensive. So let's expand our steel industry to support that. Steel mills. Once again, I only want to expand my own steel industry. DC actually has a little bit, so let's build a few more levels there. Let's build up steel production in New York and Ohio. Interestingly, the Wisconsin one and Delaware ones are still hiring. Delaware has labor available. I don't know why they're having trouble. Maybe I go to water tube boiler? Yeah, they're much more efficient water tube boiler. So that's good. That's what that'll be. Motor industries, do you want water tube boiler? You certainly don't. Okay, that's weird. I've never had... Maybe I've got electricity shortages, and that's what's making it difficult for my my motor industry. So let's take a quick look. I certainly do. Virginia and Illinois. Illinois just needs to be subsidized. Alright, there's the war kicking off. Subsidize! Virginia, what's the electricity price here? You're fine, Virginia. Stop grousing. Subsidize. Alright, what else? Kansas, Minnesota, and Arizona all need adjustments. So Kansas, what do you need? You do need one more level, but you also need a subsidy. Hey, elevator's unlocked. Minnesota, were you the one with the high electricity price? No, I think it was Wisconsin. Nevertheless, you could use a few more levels. And I'll subsidize. Wisconsin. Yes, you have a near shortage. You have 10 levels. You're going to need 8 more and a subsidy. And then Arizona. You just need a few more levels. And we'll subsidize as long as we're here. Alright. War's kicking off. Someone else get involved? Or Tunisia's just pretty well developed. Alright, cool. Excellent. Alright, so that should be fine with Wadai. Now, if I recall correctly... Come on, sort by market price here. You know what I'm about. I thought I clicked the button already. Apparently not. I need more rubber by a lot, actually. So, we'll start with that. Not oil. I am an American. I have a natural desire to hit the more oil button every time I see it. Let me see. Guaviare. Oh, Guaviare has quite a bit. And Amazonia's a little bit as well. Amazonias is going to need a railway, as is Guaviare. Might need to. Now, I would like to have Guyana. Let's see if I can buy Guyana from the French. I could probably get there. Let me see. Take on debt. Debt of 68.8 million. Wow. That's quite a bit. Wow, that's hardly worth anything. That's incredible. I have no idea why that would be worth so little. What if I just give you frickin' money? Woo. Okay, 8,000 is the maximum. That gets them above 300. That gets them above 30. which means they say yes. So let's do it. Beautiful. And that gives me all of Guyana to play with. So, we'll go with another level of gold mines, a few more levels of rubber plantations. I'll normalize production methods, which I need to do in Africa as well. Okay, Guyana is good. Darfur needs power. We'll put that in first. Ooh, got a lot of construction capacity there. Excellent. Now, this is good news for me because this means that I can potentially buy out some of these other states around here and just transfer that cash to the French, which will help them in the long run. At least a little bit. I don't know. How big is their economy? My economy is about $500 million. Their economy is about 70 million. Let me see the economy rankings. Yay, there's my victory. Okay, German Empire is next, then India, then China, then Britain. Then Russia, interestingly. Are you doing republicanism over there, Russia? No, Nikolai Romanov. You're still at Tsardom, but you're in wealth voting. Interesting. Alright, let's get some power set up in Wadai and Chad as well. So now we have the ability to go after Bornu, and this is the big one. Annex war goal against Bornu is 10.3 infamy, so I'm going to need to wait a little bit. In the meantime, let's see what other construction projects I can pursue. I believe I... Okay, so I did need rubber. I did need rubber. Actually, in fact, let's continue to work on that because I've got territory in Africa where I can use to grow rubber, and that will promote prosperity in these areas. Let me see. Oromia, let's just max rubber in Oromia. Gondar is close to that already. That means we're going to need another Mussy, National Awakening. Very cool. We're going to need another railway. I'm going to put 2 in just to be certain, and we'll put those at the top of the queue. Let's get incorporations started for Chad and Wadai. It's going to take a long time, but it's ultimately going to be worth it. I need a little bit more governance capacity. Let's see where I've got shortages. A lot of places, chiefly Illinois, Wisconsin, Indiana, and Virginia. Illinois, Wisconsin, Indiana. We're already on telephone switchboards, throwing a couple more at the top of the queue. And Virginia. That should do that. The Devil's Railroad event once again. Workers on the railway in Oromia are dying in droves due to the harsh malarial conditions and extreme demands placed upon them. Every mile is marked with gravestones, every track laid in blood. Malady and the scorching heat blister our bodies. We pave the road to hell with our lives. I'm doing a lot of building in Oromia, but I don't want to lead to a bunch of deaths of American citizens. This is too high a price to pay. Speaking of which, I'm going to reach all the Red Scare. The emergence of a powerful communist regime in a foreign country has aroused fear amongst certain segments of the population that the United States of America will be the next to fall to communism. Domestic currents with left-wing agendas have fallen under the scrutiny of anti-communist forces, as they're accused of being harbingers of bloody revolution and agents of foreign powers. Will fail if at least one of these, the United States of America, has enacted any variant of Council Republic, or any civil war is a revolution equal to or greater than 75% militancy. So it doesn't need to fully pop off, it just needs to basically be able to. So, we're getting there in terms of reputation. Now the question is, I do want to be able to support the French, the communards when the time comes. Investment pool's looking really good now that I'm building stuff using government funds once again. How is the ship construction queue? We're getting there. We're making very good progress. My nerds, I've got a lot of shipyards. What kind of demand is there for clippers in my current market? Quite a bit still. That's somewhat shocking. I'm going to increase the tariff on wine, the import tariff on wine. Stop buying other people's wine. We have wine at home. Gosh dang it. Coffee we're also importing. That's wild. Where can I produce my own silk? There's somewhere I've got silk production. Right, should be in agriculture. Where are we at? It was in Persia, but Persia's not in my market anymore. Is it somewhere over here? Where am I? Hold on. 145 from silk plantations, Lebanon, Palestine, and Aleppo. Okay. So, Lebanon, you're maxed. Palestine, you're maxed. Aleppo, you're maxed. Alright. Syria have silk production? Syria does have silk production. You still have a defensive pact with Great Britain. Oh, man. I want to steal Syria so bad. 25% chance they say yes. Great Britain will definitely side with them. German Empire may. I don't. What if we draft a treaty? Threaten naval hostilities, that's a given. Give me Syria. Where's Syria? Am I blind? Why can't I ask for Syria? Are you calling it something different? It's definitely Syria. Am I truly blind? Am I completely silly? Okay, they won't trade me Syria for some reason. Alright. I'll leave that be for now. I don't want to necessarily get dragged into a war with Great Britain and Germany, although I feel like I could take them. But I want to increase my my ship output first. So, radio production. The production of radios in our factories has led to a boom in employment and profit. Telephones? No. Who wants a telephone? One person talks to another person? Useless. What you want is a radio. One person talks to hundreds, nay thousands. And the best part? They can't talk back. More radios. You know, some extra radios. I need to increase my the size of my electronics industry. My electrics industry, because I'm exporting, I think, a lot of telephones. Yeah, electrics industry is crazy profitable. That's good. So, yeah, let's build that up. Let's build that right up. Could increase explosives output, but I think that's not going to be profitable. Do I have an unused method at the mines? No. Although I think if I go to Steam Donkey, a lot of these mines will be more productive. Yeah, that's right. We've gotten to the point where there's enough coal in the country that it's going to be way more productive to use the Steam Donkey. Now, what if I do rail transport for this other stuff? I see the event there. Yeah, rail transport is for sure more effective. All right. Just double check on coal. Figure out where coal is. Coal's really low where I missed it. Oil in Darfur, face of revolution. Need to look at that. Coal. We are importing coal, which, as a country with West Virginia in its market, is ridiculous. Let me see. Plenty of infrastructure available. Build up some coal mines, please. May need a little more infrastructure for that, and that's fine. In the face of revolution, policemen chasing rumors of an alleged planned communist uprising in American Amhara have stirred significant fear amongst the area's public. Local skeptics decry the disturbance as terrorism in itself. Not sure I understand, Superintendent. You want us to go into this block at the dead of night while everyone's asleep? To raid this warehouse on suspicion that it might be a communist meeting place? That is exactly what I want you to do, Sergeant. Now, might I count on you to carry out this task, or should I volunteer some men for you? If it doesn't materialize, then we'll have done our jobs. 2% of upper stardom pops become more loyalist, and 2% of lower stardom pops more radical in American Amhara, plus 5% extra radicalism for discriminated pops. Or there's no reason to believe this is credible, pissed off petite bourgeoisie. I'm going to do that second one. I don't want to radicalize my people. Where are we with the construction queue? Construction queue is looking just perfect. Actually, I'll throw these power plants at the top of the queue in the newly taken over areas. A strange superstition. Reports have come out that a strange illness harrying members of the same family in Sinai. Locals have started exhuming the bodies of the dead in an effort to stop the so-called curse. Do you not think there are some things which you cannot understand and yet which are? That some people see things that others cannot? But there are things old and new which must not be contemplated by men's eyes because they know or think they know some things that which other men have told them. Ah, it is the fault of our science that wants to explain it all. And if it explains it not, then it says there is nothing to explain. Ah, it is the fault of Clarissa, who wants to explain it all. Alright, sorry. Now I'm just riffing. Just another case of rural superstition. 2% of pops in Sinai become more radical, or a couple of professors express their interest in the matter. 25% of academics pops in Sinai become more loyalist. Reduce bureaucracy by 5% for 5 years. 5.85k progress on antibiotics. Heck yeah, give me that progress on antibiotics. Woo! Nice. All right. Some more states convert over. We have South Dakota. And that should give us just enough. Oil discovered in Amazonas. Oh, I also want to increase my oil supply. Because we've got a lot of oil in the United States. Let me see. Where are places that I can build up? Quite a bit of unemployment in Utah. Let's do it. California, plenty of unemployment. A little bit of unemployment here, but lots of infrastructure. Let's go oil maxing. Ooh, Ontario's got oil. Not a lot of labor available, but they've got some oil. Well, maybe having some oil jobs will generate immigration to Canada. Saskatchewan's got labor available. We'll build 10 levels there. And Alberta will build 10 levels there as well. That should give us all the oil we could ever need. All right. Sokoto abolitionist revolt. Oh, man. I do love abolition. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go after Bornu. German Empire might step in. Bornu, have you got some sort of treaty? They don't. Well, if the German Empire tries to stop me from going after Bornu, then so be it. I could also throw an annex war goal in on Messina. Lovely. Come on. Alright, perfect. This Wadai army I can safely close out. The army of East Africa I will mobilize, and I will raise conscripts. The Suez Canal force I will do the same. Just in case Germany decides to get a little bit fighty. Now I got new ship types, I need to figure that out. I got Dreadnought researched. The only other tier 4 I need for military is war propaganda. Which means it's really, really tempting to snag that and then go directly to NCO training. I'm going to do it. Anything I need in society? I've got multilateral alliances. International exchange standards would be good for me financially, but I'm not hurting for finance right now. So after this, we'll close out the rest of the tier 2s. I want automatic bottle blowers. Conveyor belts is nice. And then pneumatic tools. We'll just do the rest of these. And then I want compression ignition, because that's going to let me get more out of my mines. And automatic dough rollers is going to get me... Oh, wait, hold on. I need pasteurization first. And art silk. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, I got so many more tier 4s in production. Then we'll do compression ignition, and after that I'll think. After that I'll think some. Alright, so... let me see, what was I going to do? I was gonna slate new ships for construction. Home defense fleet, you need an admiral. Jean Lefebvre, you'll do just fine. Alright, a lot of ships being built in this fleet. Or, no, we're almost done building ships for this fleet. So, we need some new ships. We've got new ones to look at, in particular the Dreadnought. Let's add ourselves a template. So, I for sure want the heavy cemented steel citadel. That seems reasonable. Let me see. Propulsion's pretty good for the Dreadnought. Wow, that's a significant increase in attack. It's an increase in vulnerability, but it's a significant increase in attack. I think for Dreadnoughts, we just go buck wild. I think as much as we can put into, we do. Modifications. Patrol bolts for extra blockade strength would be bananas. Let's do... no. Not necessarily for this. We'll create a special template for trade interdictors. Torpedo nets for anti-criticals, and we'll do... I don't know what that... I don't know what this means. I mean, I know it's accuracy, but is it against these boats or for friendly torpedo? Unclear. Let's just go with rangefinders. I think that's reasonable. We'll call this our Battle Dreadnought. We'll call this our Battle Dread. And then we'll create a new template. I think we still want the heavy armor and the increased stowage, but we want the patrol boats. And for this one, I think we'll still do torpedo nets for increased survivability, and we'll name this our Raiding Dreadnought. Raiding Dread for short. So, Jean Lefebvre, you need an update, a promotion. Alright, trade interdiction fleet. You're doing pretty okay for vulnerability. Let's queue in 5 raiding dreads to start. And then for cruisers, we now have the light cruiser available. So let's show obsolete. So the armored cruiser, 280 attack, 308 defense. The light cruiser, 310 attack, 216 defense. 50 screening and 11 vulnerability, whereas the armored cruiser, 12 vulnerability, 45 screening. Okay, so it's maintenance. Its ratio of screening to vulnerability is better. Its maintenance is half, or no, it's not. It's 2/3. Attack is significantly higher, but defense is significantly lower. Do I have hit points here? Hull hit points? Crew attack damage 68, hull attack damage 33, versus the armored cruiser, crew attack damage 73, hull attack damage 301. Yeah, I'm a little at sea about this. Because it doesn't seem like the light cruiser necessarily makes the armored cruiser obsolete. Although it's clearly meant to. I don't really know how to think about this. Now, the seaplane tender does what? 350 blockade strength, but so does the light cruiser also has blockade strength. The dreadnought's base blockade strength is 1500, so yeah. Light cruiser, maybe the light cruiser is cheaper to build. Let's do a little compare. Light cruiser 165k to build, 770 construction, versus the armored cruiser 156k, 583 construction. I don't know what to make of all this, to be completely honest. Spy efficiency 10%, visibility 15, visibility 10, detection 35, detection 40. Hold on though. I see the problem. I'm comparing this to my other template. So if I create this and I give it a say rangefinders. They're pretty fast. I don't need them to be faster. We'll call this the GP Light Cruiser 1. No, we'll call this the GP Light Cruiser. Alright, got enough. That's general purpose. I'll create that template, and now let's compare them. Got it. So now we're looking at better stats across the board. Alright. I get it. I figured it out. Thank you for your patience, everyone. Let's build 3 of those. And then we'll build another 5 battle dreads, and then another 20 light cruisers, and then we'll see where we are. So that's enough for the fleet. I think all of this 8th fleet needs to go into the oceanic fleet. I think that's where these ships belong. How are we doing for staffing? I wonder if this is a low org for low command level, but they'll be getting more later. Alright. So that's very good. Now we're doing stuff. Alright, Germany, you gonna step in? I also think I'm going to support the abolitionist revolts with the intention of spreading abolition. Can't do anything about that yet, but I'll have troops in the area before too long, at least. German Empire sides with Bornu. Cool. So. Make sure everyone's mobilization options are right. Looks like they are. So, how do we want to handle Germany? First of all, does this give us any more exciting war goals? Transfer of the United Belgian States. Well, that's interesting. But of course, that would require me to naval invade them. which I don't necessarily wish to do. Limburg is also in Europe. The only place to conquer in Europe? I don't care. Nothing. I ain't scared of you, Germany. I ain't afraid of no Germany. So. Let's get the expeditionary force together. And I'm going to have the coastal defense forces raise their conscripts. But I think other than that, I'm not particularly keen on a large mobilization, because I don't think Germany can take me in a fight. In fact, I think it's time we tested out our new blockading strategy. So we'll send the Atlantic Fleet, our main fleet, and that's the troop transfer fleet, the trade interdiction fleet. And we'll go ahead and make a problem for Germany. So they are transferring forces, not a lot of them though. I've got the ability to put armies kind of wherever. I could send the Marines. I've got plenty of construction capacity available. Splitting 50-50, that should be fine. Not sure where these units are going. 9th Fleet. Okay, that's fine. I'll go set in home defense fleet to intercept enemies in this region here. And maybe we'll send them to lock down trade later on. So there's the war in Sokoto. I'm spending a moderate amount of money, but it's a pretty manageable amount of money, all things considered. So, if I want to try and stop up trade in the Baltic. This is determined by Russia and Denmark. Interesting. Denmark, I don't need to be enemies with you. Sweden, not with you either. Alright. Cool. How are we doing for supply? Looks like we're doing okay. So, I should be on my way to Sokoto pretty soon. If I want to throw a war goal in here, do I? I don't. I'm fine. I'm fine. I need to dial it back is what I need to do. I need to not get drawn into something that I don't actually care about. Ew. We're going to have heavy ships soon. Or new heavy ships soon. Excellent. Excellent. Let's see. Transportation shortages. Electricity shortages in Alaska and Colorado. Let me deal with that quickly. Subsidize. And subsidize. And then transportation shortages in Kentucky, Eritrea, Virginia, and Hormuz. Kentucky. Private sector's building. How's the comparison? Let's see, let's see, let's see. It could definitely use more. And then I said Hormuz, Virginia, and Eritrea. Alright. Virginia. It's about double. Plenty of railways being built there. Hormuz. Here. Actually, not that much demand here. Let's just build one. And then subsidize the Power plants there, and Eritrea. Yeah. Need 2 levels. There we go. Alright. That should be fine. Throw these at the top of the queue. Wasn't thinking about that, but should do it. Alright. Lovely. And then... yeah, and Germany doesn't have any war goals here, so I'm not really concerned. Ooh, Danish mass injection. There's the war with Bornu. So, let me just quick take a look. Okay, Kansas, Blue Nile, South Carolina are my places where I can improve the size of the government. And Blue Nile. Now, is this just... okay, this is just a recently occupied area. Though, you need markets. So we're going to build markets. So I should be able to win my battle against Bornu without any difficulty. And then I'll have access straight into Sokoto to support the abolitionist revolt there. And that will be fine. After that, it's Gobir. And after that, we'll figure out how to deal with Sokoto. I think abolition is a delightful path. Oyo is colonizing, which is fine. Socialist revolts in Portugal. Interesting. Doesn't seem like it's going to be much of an issue, though, so I'm going to leave it alone. This thing in Jabal Shamar, I don't need it. Alright, looks like our... looks like we're winning our battle. Yes, that looks like we're winning our battle with the German Imperial fleet here. So that should be just fine. We'll see if they bail out as soon as the battle ends, which is looking like it's going to be pretty soon. Excuse me? The Chad front. Oh my goodness, we've split into 2 fronts. Unbelievable. Alright. We'll get the Suez Canal force down here. And we'll send this army over here. I can't believe this. I have to bring my Suez Canal force all the way down. Gosh dang it. No! 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 You were supposed to end the French chicanery, not join it! Let me see, are they getting bits of Wadai? They're getting bits of Wadai. Okay, they've merged up again. But this time I got 2 armies, so this time they're toast. They're toast, I say! Beha National Awakening in Donggala. Cool. That's okay. This is but a minor setback. A minor setback, I say. I'm getting occupation Outer Houseland instead of Wadai, which is curious. Come on, Sokoto Abolitionist Revolt. You can do it. I believe in you. Golly. Karta sides with Messina in their abolitionist revolt. Well, I mean, gosh dang. I mean, wouldn't it be at least a little bit hypocritical of me to support one abolitionist revolt in Africa and not the other, right? I think I'm going to do it. We're abolition maxing. Okay. Now that I've decided to involve myself in a war that doesn't involve me, let's get the Home Defense Fleet back repairing in New York. We'll send the Marine Corps to Messina, using the troop transfer fleet to support that action there. And they're on their way now. Beautiful. Alright, so we should be advancing directly into Sokoto now that we've got a hold of this front. And we'll see what becomes of that. Alright. So, looks like we're making good progress in Borneo. So after that, I'm going to go after Begmiri, and I think maybe Sokoto gets puppeted. I don't know. We'll see. I might, depending on how things go. British Senegal appears to be completely cut off from everything else, so I might simply demand the transfer of British Senegal once I'm holding territory adjacent, and that will basically just sort it out. Okay. Yep, I already dealt with these issues. The investment pool is looking fine. I'm building a whole ton of stuff. That should be completely sufficient. Obviously, Borneo is very low in war support at this time, so I'm pretty close to getting them fully capitulated. That will give me control over all of these states. There's the situation in Messina popping off. Hey, Messina abolitionist revolt. Take my friendship. Shut up and take my friendship! Shut up and take my marines, more like. So let's see. Let's see. How much are we getting in tolls now? 139k. Pretty respectable. Lots more through the Panama Canal than before, which is exciting. Oil discovered in North Dakota. Very cool. Portugal colonized Gabon. Less cool. I say as I cut a swathe through Africa. Alright. Borneo is sorted out, and then my armies are simply there. So, before we do anything else, let's go ahead and reset production methods in these conquered territories. We're going to need power in some of these newly conquered areas. I'm going to throw these power plants at the top of the queue to get them built fast. Dangerous equipment. The textile mills in Borneo have seen an increase in workplace injuries due to increased mechanization and poor safety regulations. Accidents have always happened, but I feel like I used to have time to react. Not this time. I grabbed his arm to pull him out of the way, but I barely gotten a hold of his wrist before the arm was all I held on to. Slow down production while the staff adjusts to the new machinery. Pissed off intelligentsia and industrialists. Reduce manufactories' throughput. I can afford to piss off my intelligentsia and industrialists at least a little bit. Or we can't pull the brakes on the engines of progress. Pissed off trade unions, evangelicals, and yeoman farmers, and increase mortality. I'm going to slow down production. Let's dial it back. An exile at the gates. The relatively lenient American immigration system has long been attractive to those fleeing their home nations. Recently, Ali al-Mahdi has petitioned to join the stream of people moving to the United States of America. He is an authoritarian aligned with the intelligentsia. Interesting. Honorable Master Bureaucrat, Aesthete, Expert Defensive Strategist. Neat. It was one name on a very, very long list. One that had passed through multiple layers of bureaucracy before being noticed. One fateful day, however, one clerk at the end of his shift pointed at that name and spoke those fatal words. I could swear I've heard of him before. Eventually, Ali al-Mahdi, too, will be an American. We will not support someone like this regardless of precedent. He doesn't show up, but the industrialists become unhappy. I'm going to pick the first one. Don't want to piss off my industrialists more than I have to. Alright, and now our force comparisons here are just rock solid. This army of irregular infantry I do not need. Go ahead and scrap that out. I wonder if I could get Portugal into my orbit. What's my leverage? Respect to them. It's not bad. Rossiyskaya Imperia is in the lead. What type of government are they rocking? They are an autocratic monarchy. Problematic policing. Police officers in uniform have been discovered supporting the American-British Fellowship activity while on duty, lowering public confidence in the police force. A resident of Wyoming comments on members of the police force patrol that walk by in pristine uniforms, with a hint of arrogance to their gait. Disdain drops from the onlooker's face. These officers certainly think highly of themselves. They carry out errands for the British-American Fellowship and accept their gifts. They ignore their duty to the people of Wyoming. As long as everyone is discreet, there is no harm. 5% of pops in Wyoming become more radical, improves relations with Britain by 5. Or we need to restore the public's confidence. 5% of pops in Wyoming become more loyalist. Appeasement of the American-British Fellowship goes down by 1. So the American-British Fellowship, there's a lot of people I would like to be pleased, but I love loyalists, so I'm going to pick that second one. In addition, facing the chair. So this is the two French anarchists thing, is the follow-up from that. As the execution of the two French anarchists convicted of murder draws near, protests from both the skeptics of the conviction and French communities across the nation have sprung up in major cities. Cities from around the globe raised banners far and wide for the two convicted murderers. Even cities across the United States of America have risen to protest the ruling. Headlines and letters from every center of protest have one common thread. Violence. Violence to meet violence. And more violence is all but certain if the executions are not stayed. Protests will not change what they did. 2% of French pops in Wisconsin become radical. 2% of lower sternum pops in the whole country become radical. Or grant them a stay and a retrial. 2% of French pops in the United States become more loyalist. Petite bourgeoisie, southern planters, and evangelicals all furious. I'm going to go for the second one. So we have good close ties with the French, and we should remain so. All right. My quest for abolition in Africa is going well. Except we've got an undefended front now. Let's move our smaller force, the Suez Canal force, over there to address the issue. What? A Bedouin national movement. Ah, in Hormuz. Well, that'll do it. Very well. They desire multiculturalism. Could I make that happen? I don't think so. I think because the head of my trade unions is a feminist now, not a humanitarian. Well, forward it is. So let's take a quick look at this blockade situation. Let me see how well I'm doing here. 61.2k at full presence. 0% to 0%. 0%. Oh, right. Because because I'm not at war with Germany anymore. Because the situation in Bornu sorted itself out. Alright. Well done. I should have checked sooner, but that's okay. I wonder why it takes so long to develop presence. But in any case, you've done your duty. Trade Interdiction Fleet and Atlantic Fleet. Time to return to the United States. In fact, let's increase the size of the Atlantic Fleet some. 20 dreadnoughts and 25 general purpose light cruisers. That should be a good solid increase. And that means we've got plenty of ships in the queue here. In fact, I'm going to throw a few of these at the top of the queue. That seems like it was only one. Okay, weird. Hold on. Alright, that's 5 at the top of the queue. Alright, situation in Sokoto is going well. It looks like Messina is pretty much solved. fact, I think we can go ahead and transport the Marines back to the United States. Oceanic fleet still at low organization. Due to insufficient command limit. Alright. Promote to Rear Admiral? Yes. Perfect. Alright. Excellent. Alright. And that should be our wars basically completed. Communist criminality. Rumors about the atrocities of communists in the French Commune have reached the American press, with reports about crimes against humanity and sacked corpses filling the front pages of newspapers. Did you hear of the bombings the other day? This time it was a lawyer, one of the big ones, advising the government. Another one? Heavens, that's the third this month. This is supposed to be a safe country. Safe? Bah, not with these communist rats running around. They'll kill us all if we don't kneel down first. Who knew that people could be so barbaric? Deteriorates relations with the French Commune by 25. 2% of upper-stardom pops in the United States become more loyalist, or they had to publish something else for once. Industrialists become weaker. Deteriorates relations with the French Commune by 5 instead of 25. I'm going to go with the second one. I can live with weaker industrialists for a bit. Those guys are creating a big problem for me, frankly. So... and we'll see what comes of the next election. I'm still at middling taxation, which is providing all the cash I need. Oh. Messina was annexed. Carta. Well, Carta has no way of getting here. Oh, so that war should end presently. Alright, there we go. Beautiful. Excellent. So the Sokoto abolitionist revolt should become Sokoto in a moment. There we go. Beautiful. And now we're going to be better friends. Whoa. 14.6 infamy for protectorate over Sokoto. Damn. They really reworked this stuff in the patch. There's another abolitionist revolt happening in Segu, but I can't reach the area. Bedouin leadership. A Bedouin politician with secessionist sympathies has risen to prominence in the armed forces. Have you heard who spoke at the last rally? To think that the opposition gives credence to Bedouin propaganda now. The sitting government would never host a speaker like that, which, incidentally, was the exact argument made in the speech itself. A Bedouin political leader? Unthinkable. 2% of Bedouin pops in the United States of America become more radical. A Bedouin agitator will appear in the United States of America, change progress for the Bedouin national movement secession down by minus 10%. Or anyone can make it in the United States of America. Abdurrahman ibn Ahmad becomes leader of the armed forces. He is a sovereignist. He is Bedouin. Charismatic political operator. Sovereignist. This leader opposes oppressive measures imposed upon their nation by colonial authorities, preferring policies that serve the ends of national self-governance. Stance on citizenship multiculturalism. Stance on free speech, protected speech. Stance on migration controls. Stance on policing local police force. Interesting. So this would create an opportunity for me to go to multiculturalism. If I went to multiculturalism, who would be against? Well, first, how would I get it? I would need to pull the Democratic Party in, which would be feasible. I would surely face opposition from the petite bourgeoisie. And from the southern planters. If I could sway the trade unions, I could make it happen. If I could sway the trade unions, I could make it happen. Okay, armies are getting to where they're supposed to be going. But it is an election year. Let's put him in. And we'll see what happens. We'll see how things go. Bedouin National Movement. We'll see how things go in the election, which will be starting pretty soon. Progressive dilemmas. The backlash against the policies of the communard communists have led to mounting pressure on the progressive leaders of the Yeoman farmers to explicitly denounce the government of the French Commune. They loomed over him, at least half a dozen, and all built to lift cisterns. At first, it was a courtesy to call to the watering hole. Some boy fresh off the fields recognized him over a pint. Then the barmaid remembered his praise about the French Commune's government. Now it was a sizable crowd with 6 strong men at the helm. Well, the thing with the French Commune is, for the social democratic cause, not the communard one. Yeoman farmers significantly weaker. Or this road leads to nothing but more extorted concessions. Yeoman farmers slightly weaker. 2% of upper and pops in the whole country become more radical. Listen. Our election is in December. The election cycle is going to start in June. The Yeoman farmers are marginalized. They're going to join the Republicans during the next election cycle. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait and see how the election numbers are looking before I make a decision on this. It should only be about 30 days. My armies have returned from exile. And then we'll kind of see what stuff looks like. By the way, is the armed forces going to stay in the Democratic Party? I think they are. South German mass immigration from Austria. Very cool. Damn, I've got expensive iron. How do I have expensive iron? I'm in the United States. Gosh dang it. Let's increase the tariff. And let's increase iron production. Where do I have iron? Practically everywhere. I'm wall-to-wall, floor-to-ceiling with the stuff. 10 levels each in California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, and we'll max out Montana. There we go. That should provide us with sufficient iron. How much of an increase is that in my iron supply? It's roughly a 25% increase. More like a 20% increase, but still, that should be enough. That should be enough to cover the fact that I'm importing this stuff. Maybe we'll build up iron supplies in Wisconsin. We've already done. Minnesota? How much infrastructure we got available here? Plenty. Let's do it. Alright. There's our election. I'm going to wait for one more week to go by, and then I'll address this event. Once I've seen the way the election's going to show up. So, with the yeoman farmers in this thing, the Republicans and the Communists are head-to-head, which is curious. So I could keep the Socialists in power, if I can give them the win, or I could put the Republicans in. The Republicans have a much higher baseline, because they currently have low momentum. So I'm just going to go with the second one. Because I think the yeoman farmers are actually not that much of a part of this thing. Okay, never mind. I'm dumb. It's fine, though. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. In light of the devastation suffered by states like American Outer Houseland, the Democratic Party has campaigned under uniting the United States of America in this trying time behind traditional values. Our nation lies in ruins, but the United States of America has risen from the ashes before and will do so again, as long as we do not forget who we are. This is not the time for radicalism or recklessness. This is the time for healing. We must look to who has made us persevere in the past, and safeguard it from those who would see us... We must look to what has made us persevere in the past, and safeguard it from those who would see it destroyed. Until we have rebuilt, until we have healed, it is all we have, it being tradition. We must come together in this difficult time, extra momentum for the Democrats, or this seems like cold-hearted opportunism. 5% of pops in American Outer Houseland become more radical. I'm going to pick that second one. It just seems reasonable. I now have an exploit Amazonian state option for Guyana. This is the second stage in the Amazonian state process. This, I believe, will basically remove the Amazonian forest debuff that these states have. Pearls in the rough. Like pearls on a string, cities and rubber entrepôts now line Guyana's rail and riverine networks, bringing the blazing torch of civilization to the jungle in exchange for its rich bounties. You've remembered your pen this time? Yes, take everything down. The Amazon, as I have predicted, has yielded like darkest Africa before it. No thing of brick or of bark or magma born will halt the wheels of progress. In this mighty... My God, man, did you note me asking about your pen? No, don't take that down. Stop. We're the harbingers of order. Once again, we get this debuff for 2 years. And then for 5 years, we get 5... So this is the mortality for laborers on construction and plantations, the reduction to state construction efficiency, and the radicalism for discriminated pops. But then we also, if we pick the Harbingers of Order, we also get extra infrastructure and migration traction for 5 years, extra standard of living for the upper strata, minimum expected standard of living for the upper strata, and reduced mortality. Or if we pick Heralds of Progress, we get the standard of living and minimum expected standard of living for the middle strata, half as much infrastructure, migration traction, and extra plantations throughput. I'm going to pick the first one. So now Guyana's state modifier is exploited Amazon rainforest. We still get the reduced infrastructure and state construction efficiency, but we also get increased building hardwood output, increased agriculture throughput, and extra migration attraction, in addition to other stuff. We have got some unemployment and peasants here, but there's also oil. So, I'm going to build some oil. I'm just going to build up a whole mess of oil. Alright, and that is the Exploiting the Amazon Journal entry finished. Election is now looking basically about the same. Doesn't appear there's been much of an adjustment. We may be able to get the Republicans and the Socialists in government together. I'm not sure. We'll just kind of go opportunistically based on what events arrive. I think the Republicans, because they've got a bunch of parties in them, are going to be low unity. Okay, so I think pre-dreadnought and armored cruiser, and then the 10th American Fleet has pre-dreadnoughts, armored cruiser. What is all this? I think the 10th Fleet belongs in the Home Defense Fleet. I think these belong in the Home Defense Fleet. I think that's what's going on. 9th Fleet, I think the same. Is the Home Defense Fleet out on mission somewhere? No, they're not. Okay, well, I don't know what's going on with that, but we're building ships and that's what matters. Our great nation. Seeking to turn the tide of nationalism to the favor of the Republican Party, Ali al-Mahdi held a patriotic speech in one of Washington's parks. Nationalism is the often assumed and unearned superiority of one's place of birth. It is easily mistaken for something approaching the lines of patriotism, but a sharp eye can spot the difference. A sharper mind knows how to use it as leverage. Truly a hero for the people, extra moment for the Republicans. We should ensure that the laws are properly secured. Not as much momentum for the Republicans, but extra prestige and movement pop attraction for the radical movement. I'm going to go with the first one. That's going to make the Republicans pull significantly ahead in the election, I believe. And once the week passes by, we'll check that out. Yes, all right. So that puts the Republicans ahead with a projected 43% of the vote. So at this time, we're up the Republicans. All right, Trade and Interdiction Fleet, Moses Saxon needs another promotion. You're an admiral, Moses. Atlantic Fleet still has ships being produced. Pacific Fleet does not. So I think any more unclaimed ships are going to the Pacific Fleet. And then we'll figure out more once more ships have been produced. How much am I paying for the maintenance of boats right now? 70k. Not bad at all. And 70k in supply from supply ships. The levies. Conrad Zook has made overtures to the yeoman farmers for electoral support to the Democratic Party. Patrick McMahon has at least acknowledged the talks. Appeals for natural allies makes for a gamble on long odds. Receptive ears to natural allies are often already of like mind. Those who aren't of like mind would politely continue on their own way. Impolitely, they might laugh, scoff, or if they're truly devious, turn the gambler into their own useful idiot. Old minds think alike, extra momentum for the Democrats, or grass tends to grow as it pleases. Half as much extra momentum for the Democrats, increased political strength for aristocrats, but also increased political strength from the votes of farmers. I'm going to go with the second one, because I think the rural folk are aligning with the Republicans, and that's going to make their prospects a little better. Looks like not, or at least if it is, it's being compensated by the stronger aristocrats. So maybe that was a mistake, but it is what it is. In southern Africa, there's a Potchefstromer communist revolt against Potchefstroom, which is a country I've never heard of before. Where? Here. This is Potchefstroom. Curious. Okay, don't know what to do about that. Looks like there's a bunch of different countries in Cape Colony right now. I've been thinking about doing a South Africa one. Maybe I'll do a South Africa run just to figure out what that's about. Because I'm going to tell you, that seems like a whole situation down there. Alright. Pressing issues. The ongoing election has drawn attention to the platforms of the various contending political parties. Across the United States of America, the electorate debates which party is worth trusting with the next term in government. I'm not going to read this again. You've heard this flavor text a bunch of times. It's the stockbroker talking to the journalist at the bar. Alright, so I can pick the Socialist Party, the Republican Party, or the Democratic Party. I'm going to pick the Republican Party. And that should catapult them into a commanding lead. We'll see what happens when the week turns over. And indeed it has. It looks like the intelligentsia are now headed up by a market liberal, which is interesting. We'll see what happens with that. So, I have a little bit more work I was going to do in here. I was thinking about taking a protectorate over Sokoto. No one will step in if I do. This will be 14.7 infamy. So I'm going to wait a little bit longer. That's right. That was what I was going to do. I was going to wait to help things chill down. Now, speaking of chilling down, how are things going with Egypt? They're going well. They're going pretty well. They're in the middle bracket of resistance to, of liberty desire, so I'm not particularly worried about that. Now, if I formed a colonial administration in East Africa, okay, let's take a look at this. I've never interacted with this journal entry before. I think colonial states are often a mistake. Let's see what this says. In order to best leverage our rule over our African holdings, colonial administration may be established over a given region of the continent. Colonial administrations will expand into neighboring decentralized nations on their own, and may be given jurisdiction over our other regional holdings. The scramble for Africa, so it is called, is underway in earnest. Every power worth a hoot is seeking slices of the great continent as more jewels in their crowns. Rich and untapped resources and filled with the power to with people yet to be put to work, power and prestige are the prizes for the victors. Make no mistake, blood will be spilled long before the scramble ends. Africa awaits. So, if I hit this button, the southeastern pocket of the continent, Zanj has long been a trading point for ivory, gold, and flesh. Controlling this region will open the floodgates of our more exotic markets. At least 2 American states. East Africa, blah, 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 blah. We can only establish a new colonial administration every 3 months. Triggers the event the nature of the administration in 1 day. When establishing a local colonial administration, we will be able to tailor its laws and government to best suit the needs of the metropole and its constituent interest groups. Ew. Any American lands within the strategic region will be transferred to our new... No. We're not doing that. Yuck. Ooh. Shortage of bureaucracy. Let's see where we can get a little bit more. Georgia, Missouri. Georgia and Missouri. Just converting over government methods to get myself a little bit more bureaucracy. Here's Missouri. Oh, I'm so good at geography. Still experiencing expensive radios and telephones. So let's cue in an expansion of our electrics industry once again. Let's just build up levels in New York. Gaza colonized Zambezia. Exciting. So, automotive industries, I've got 2. I think I'm going to build another block of auto industries. We'll build them in California. I'll build 10 levels. I'll put them at the top of the queue. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these automotive industries to produce airplanes, which have got to be useful for something. Alright, looks like the election is a shoo-in for the Republicans with a plurality, if not a majority. And our new leader is Othniel Garrison. Wow, I should have stayed with the socialists. Heck, look at this. Look at how contested this government is. Inconceivable. Alright, anything going to change our politics next time through? Doesn't look like it. Bananas. Well, hypothetically, if I went to single-party state, hypothetically, what would that allow me to do? Hypothetically, no, I'm not going to do this. This is dirtbag behavior, and I'm not going to do it. Got a lot of loyalists, but I've also got a lot of unemployment. I've been doing just fine leaving welfare where it is. If I went to old age pensions, that would reduce my workforce ratio. But that wouldn't be supported by the groups I have in government at the moment. Could go to protected speech. But I don't know that I necessarily want to do that. I think I'm okay with my laws where they are at present. I know the industrialists want free trade, but I'm not about that life. I love my tariffs. In Victoria 3. I'm not generally a tariff enjoyer in actual economic policy. But in Vicky 3, tariffs are useful. Looks like our investment pool needs more construction sectors. Also, I think I might need to normalize production methods. No, I did do this. Okay, yes, we'll go to electric now that some of these places have power. Why do iron mines want to go to road carts? Am I frickin' silly? Weird. What if we mechanized farming? Yeah, that would be better. Far superior, in fact. Steam powered? Yeah, that's better. Steam powered thresher machines for you. Oh, that's much better. Heck yeah. Farming mechanization? Heck yeah. Cool. Alright. Let's go to rail transport for plantations as well. And what did I see in here that made me go, there was something. Oh, right. I've got combustion engine derrick available, which would be wonderfully efficient. Refrigerated rail cars for whaling stations, don't mind if I do. Fishing wharves, same deal. We'll go to rubber transport. We'll go to rail transport for all of our other plantations as well. This is just going to be generally more efficient for us. Oh, factory radios. Don't mind if I do. Wonderful. We're going to get more tobacco out of this. It's going to cost us radios, but there'll be more tobacco. That's good for our electrics industry anyway. So, now, logging camps, steam donkey should make them more efficient. Industrialists petition the government. This is about free trade, I swear to Jeebus. Alright, we'll go back to no steam donkey. Alright, January 1st of 1909. We're making good progress. Private schools. Othniel Garrison, the charismatic leader of the industrialists, has approached the government with a plan to enact private schools. A successful enactment is sure to contribute to his reputation as an effective politician. A word, please. The minister, halfway out the door, startled at the sound. A man stood in the hallway, bearing a leather-bound dossier. Garrison, he knew. His appearance was unmistakable. Yes, of course, he said. Should I? Garrison gave a nod and handed over the folder. At least 100 pages, judging by the weight. I'm looking to raise the first draft tomorrow, he said. I would be honored to have your support. We'll see what we can do. Industrialists will expect us to pass private schools, or you must understand the present situation does not allow for this. Industrialists mad and reduced legitimacy. I'm going to go with that second one. I like having public schools, my nerd. I don't know what to tell you. Against the odds, despite not enjoying full rights under American law, some wealthier Algonquin people have begun moving into neighborhoods and frequenting establishments they would normally be excluded from. If we want our children to have a future, this is where we should raise them, he said. I want them to live somewhere safe. She crossed her arms. Have you seen the looks we get? When people say safe, they don't mean safe for us, they mean safe from us. We made some new regulations to keep the peace, extra radicalism for discriminated pops. 2% of Algonquin pops become more radical, or they've fairly earned their success with all that entails. Petite bourgeoisie, weaker and saltier. 2% of Algonquin pops become more loyalist. I'm going to pick that second one. I don't need you, petite bourgeoisie. Watch my bureaucracy collapse. It's okay. We're hanging by a thread. We need at least three. Three opinion from the petite bourgeoisie, that is. All right, a famous cafe. After a chance meeting in a cafe and a thoughtful conversation, Joachim Suchet has recommended that Slavaks Anastas, currently residing in the United States of America, be granted permanent residency. I don't speak... I think this is Polish. Hungarian. Okay. I was barely close. They do share a border, at least, in the modern day. So I'm not, or no, they don't. There's Slovakia between them. I don't speak either language. I don't speak either Polish or Hungarian. So I apologize. I'm dumb. All my geographic knowledge comes from Hearts of Iron 4. And this game, frankly. So, uh, I'm gonna do my best with the pronunciation because and acknowledge that I'm like completely making it up. So, Slavix Anastaj, currently residing in the United States, Joachim Suchet has recommended that he be granted permanent residency. If you're in need of a place to stay, I could hardly neglect to offer you an invitation. It would be shameful for me to, following such a magnificent display, to fail to pursue your talents further. So, Anastas is a brave demagogue aligned with the industrialists. He's a protectionist. We can hardly ask for a more esteemed endorsement. Stronger industrialists. And he becomes employed in the United States. Or Joachim Suchet's decision-making is clearly questionable. They become pissed off, and Suchet loses some popularity. So he's the head of the Panama Canal Company. Cool. I'm going to bring him over. Stronger industrialist is good for the government overall. It gets us more legitimacy. And more legitimacy is good. A disreputable bookkeeper. A bookkeeper and... Woo! Woo! Stop keeping books! A bookkeeper in government employed by the Anti-British League is under investigation for bribery. The committee leading the investigation gathered to consider the facts collected. They argue over the scandal. I understand that the Anti-British League benefits from a close relationship to the lawmakers of the United States of America, but these lobbyists cannot be authorized to pledge any amount of money to ensure successes. The Anti-British League is responsible for the agents they hired. Extra legitimacy, the Anti-British League appeasement goes down by 1. So that's just the trade unions. Or, perhaps it was just a clerical error. 5% of bureaucrats pops in D.C. become more loyalist, and the trade unions become happier. I'm just going to pick the first one. I need legitimacy after refusing to give my industrialists what they wanted. All right. So. Wow. All right, because I changed up the methods. I think a lot of this stuff is stuff that the private sector will sort out as time goes by. With that having been said, in order to support that, let's build up construction. First I want to fix all the uneven numbers of levels. That's Borneo. And then we'll bring all of our places that have 2 levels up to 4. And then we'll see what things look like. Oop. I'm already in places where I don't need, where I don't need more. Alright, American Yemen. Alright, so what does that put me at? That puts me at 229 plus 37. Let's build 4 more levels. That'll get us up to a nice even 270. We'll build them in Pennsylvania. Alright, and we'll throw all these at the top of the queue. Once again, these are construction sectors, so they'll get built really fast. Alright. Still got another 5 years of Red Scare, but hopefully things won't be too extreme here. A Senegalese radical revolt. Oh, they do have access to this area through Dahomey. Interesting. That is what it is. They're also in another war with the Dutch East Indies. I wonder if the Ottoman Empire's desire to give me Syria has gone up. It's gone down. Gosh dang it. Oil rush subsides. With the groundwork of the North Dakota oil industry complete, its appeal and promise is waning among those seeking to carve out their own fortune. The nature of these operations is that eventually few people will hold all the cards. The industry lives on, but our hands are played. We were not among the few. But the oil will last forever. We can force on the oil rush to get reduce migration attraction, 30% increased oil industry mortality, plus -1 oil industry employee standard of living, plus 50% employees needed for the oil industry, but plus 20% oil extractors throughput. Or we can shuffle the expertise into manufacturing for extra manufacturing industries throughput. I'm going to pick the second one. I think that's a natural answer. How long have we been going here? We're close to 2 hours. I've been trying to decay away my infamy because I don't want Egypt to be. You were at -14 a second ago. What's wrong with you? Stupid army power projection. Do I want to form an army of Equatorial Africa? I don't think so quite yet. Sokoto is antagonistic towards me, even though I've been improving relations. But I helped you in your war, Sokoto. Fine. Fine. I see that it's been forced on me from the start. It gives me no pleasure. In the words of famous dramatist Robert Webb. Paraphrased. Netherlands might step in, and if that happens, then it is what it is. Yeah, let's do it. I can live with a little infamy. An anti-communard society. Sweden damaging relations. But we're so amicable with the French. Gosh dang it. Who's in my anti-communard society? Where are they? Show me these anti-communards. The industrialists, the intelligentsia, and the landowners, the southern planters. Gosh dang it. That's really going to goof up my politics real bad. Wow. Balls. What a shame. Alright, railroad boom. The growth of branch lines along the main rail routes has been immensely valuable to the growth of our burgeoning rail industry. A child has been arrested for picking up coal alongside newly laid tracks. If the youth had been smart enough to steal the whole railroad, he would have been hailed as the Napoleon of industry. The railroads of Missouri shall prosper. Extra railway throughput in Missouri for 5 years. Or the locomotive builders of American Outer Houseland will benefit from this boom. Extra motor industries throughput in American Outer Houseland. You know, I'm going to pick that second one. I always do. Alright, anyway, we're infamous now. God, that's tragic. We just went down from friendly to amicable. Stupid. Relations with Sokoto are okay, though. Hopefully this won't end up being a long-term problem. Oh, I'm so thirsty. I knew I wasn't... I knew when I started this I wasn't going to have enough water. I'll be back. Don't let war break out. Don't let war break out. I'm keeping an eye on you. So good at YouTube. Oh, such a good YouTuber. Oh, oil discovered in Kordofan. Exciting. Just going to consolidate my water here. Oh, you don't need to be neutral, Messina. Coup in Cuba. Brigadier General Antonio Maco successfully orchestrated a coup against the sitting government of Cuba, sweeping the rural folk into power. Huh. Sweeping the rural folk into power, you say? Why don't you ban slavery then? Oh my goodness, I goofed up my freaking, I goofed up my, what you call it? My influence. That's a shame. But it is what it is. So, from here the Army of Africa I think can definitely handle that stuff. Cuba is enacting slavery ban. Lovely. And we have psychoanalysis. And not a moment too soon, because I needed the influence. Ah, wonderful. Anyway, that's going to make international relations much easier. Red Revolution, yellow headlines. Well, 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 look what we've got here. We got some water is what we got. Newspapers sympathetic to the interests of the industrialists have printed numerous stories about the revolutionary desires of communists in the United States of America. The articles paint lurid pictures of strikes and planned terrorism. The Red Plague festers. Correspondents from across the world have reported the unnatural stirrings of a thought most foul, that man no longer be entitled to the sweat of his brow, that many working communard citizens no longer have natural rights to his property, and that his privacy be no more than a fleeting desire. That thought is communism, and it is coming for everyone in the United States of America. We must get the situation under control. 2% of industrialist pops in the United States of America become more loyalist. Extra fascist and reactionary movement prop attraction. Or we cannot have a panic on our hands. Industrialists mad, but slightly weaker. Okay. What can I do to appease the industrialists? They're part of the Anti-Communard Society. They're also part of the American-British Fellowship. What if I don't have the influence to a thing. We could draft a treaty? What if we got a no-tolls treaty from them? Okay. No, sorry. What if we got a... The toll exemption is what I want. Where's toll exemption? It's here. Okay, that's much more feasible. In exchange for that, how about some cold hard cash? Oh, I don't have the influence. Well, gosh dang. Alright, well... How are my fascist and reactionary movements? I do have a reactionary movement, and it's moderately strong. I'm going to risk it by doing the first one. Hopefully that makes the industrialists a little happier. We'll see what happens when the week turns over. They're not happier, gosh dang it. My 6 of appeasement. See, if I could get the British to be normal for a second, I would be doing a lot better, but of course they will not be, because they're Britain. I'm going to subsidize the power plants in Somaliland. 2 arms. There's the war popping off. Oh, actually, we need another level of power plants here. And then the other for power one was Wyoming. Well, I guess that sorted itself out. American Amhara, which is here. Local price is, we do need another level. Gonna throw that at the top of the queue. Hey, come back here. Alright, so for Sokoto, we have an overwhelming strength advantage, so this shouldn't be difficult. And Petit Bourgeoisie Protectionist appears. Is that going to change our politics? Doesn't look like it's going to change our politics at all. Wow. I already have women's suffrage. Is there anything I could do to make my Petite Bourgeoisie happier? I could go to colonial exploitation. Let's do it. Let's go crazy. Let's go crazy in Africa. Alright, we're going to need more bureaucracy to support the change that I've just made. So let's start converting sectors over into telephone switchboards to provide the necessary bureaucracy. We're getting there. We're getting there. Okay, that's a good number to start. We're going to need quite a few more. That'll at least get us going to level 2. New Jersey, Rhode Island, Connecticut, 4 in Massachusetts. Very nice. So you got a lot of states where I've only got 1 or 2. Ooh, 19 levels in Iowa. That's going to provide me with plenty. And again, we're trying to get all the way up to level 5 because I want to be able to outrace the British. So this should... Oh, a bunch in Gondar. Quite a few in California. And now we're getting into our overseas territories. I think this... I don't know what order we're in. We're in alphabetical order. That's what... Nope, never mind. Because we got Nebraska and then we got Washington. Ooh, gold in the Yukon. Good for you, Canada. And that lets us get up to level 5. Perfect. Perfect. I'm way overspending, but it'll be worth it. I could negotiate, but I don't really think I need to at this stage. Bedouin National Movement. They're probably... mad about the colonization thing? No, doesn't seem like it. Did I incorporate these territories? I didn't. I'm stupid. That's why they're going to be mad. Oh my goodness, the American Trucial Coast doesn't have sufficient infrastructure. That's really bad. Great Britain colonized Kasai. All right, we're gonna vulnerable front. The Nigeria front. Gosh dang it, I forgot. I forgot. We're gonna have a front split. No! No! I've been goobered. I've been thoroughly begoobered. Full frontal chicanery. Also, what's this? IT. The French Commune wants IT. Isn't IT in my power block? They are. French Commune. How could you? But my but my principles, no! Well, this will make my industrialists happier if I do this. What kind of a fleet do the French have? Not much of one. Wow. France, you really intend to take over a country in the Americas with only 15 ships? I could really get so much out of this. It's crazy. It's a whole bunch of bananas. Oh, man. I really want to steal Communard Senegal. Oh, what a ridiculously large opportunity. It's so much territory, too. Who else could potentially get involved in this? Britain, but they're not like to. Wow. I'm really hurting over this. What if I asked for something less extreme? The French have been my allies for so long. On the other hand, I really want to steal all of Senegal. Ah! It's going to slow down my expansion in Africa by a long time, though, because I'm going to need to chip away at that, at all that infamy. How did I stop improving relations with you, Germany? What's up with that? Hejaz I don't need to be improving relations with anymore. But Germany, I do. Wow, that's exactly the amount that I need. Ah. Heck, and I'm going to lose a bunch of influence if I do this. This is bananas. Well, I don't need to be improving relations with Sweden, because they're damaging relations with me. Nobody's going to step in to help the French, though. It's such a good opportunity. Ah! It's going to make things difficult with Egypt. Things are already difficult with Egypt. But if I can hold it... Oh, man, if I can hold it, I can get all of this territory. Dang. I'm really agonizing, my nerds. Because I don't want to be... I don't think I can. I don't think I can. I would get so much. I would get so much. No. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I'm being normal. Costa Rica sides with IT. Now, I could still side with IT. I think I'll still side with IT. But not for this. Just for an obligation. That'll break the Communard American Joint Defense Agreement. No, can't do it. This is realpolitik, friends. That's just how it goes. Uh-oh. When you have a hammer... Brigadier General Philip Glasscock, noting severe unrest in American Chad, has proposed using the army to suppress agitation in the area. While his political allies support him, there is heavy risk to following his plan. It's simple. We have an army and there's the enemy. Let me deploy my men and do what is needed, and the enemy shall be vanquished. That is all there is to it. Reprimand the Brigadier General and reject the plan. Trade unions pissed off. Or we must use the tools we have to solve the problems we have. 33% chance the secession movement goes down. 66% chance it goes up. I'm just going to pick the second one. If it goes up, that's no skin off my nose. Rousing speech captivates the public. This afternoon, Abdulrahman ibn Ahmad, leader of the armed forces, delivered a fiery speech advocating for the enactment of colonial exploitation. Making an appearance before the public in Washington's main square, Abdulrahman ibn Ahmad's powerful rhetoric left even his most embittered political opponents impressed. Excerpts from the speech are already being circulated across the United States of America, fanning the fires of an already roaring debate. This should ease the path to the reform greatly, 15% enactment success chance, or performances like these reflect well on Abdulrahman ibn Ahmad and his cause. 10% enactment success chance, but he gets some popularity and the armed forces get stronger. I'm just going to do the first one. I don't want the armed forces stronger because they're not in the government. And in fact, they're aligned with the Democrats, who I've been steadily trying to put the kibosh on. My economy continues to grow with bananas speed, which I am pleased about. What's this? Suez Canal Force says attrition. Oh, because they're going across Bugmiri. Well, that's okay. I'll take over Bugmiri later. Happily, this enemy army does not appear to be pushing forward, which I am pleased about. I wonder if it's because they have no organization, because they have no supply. Excite Bike. Alright. So... that should be good. I wonder if Britain can't figure out how to fight this war. Or something like that. Anyway, our war in Sokoto is nearly complete, and once we've got the Suez Canal Force on this front, we should be able to have everything we wish for. This keeps happening. I'm going to throw in a few more conscript infantry units in the Suez region just to make sure that stops stops having that weird thing go on. The street side standoff. Troops in American Hormuz have reported more and more confrontations with belligerent mobs. Fighting will likely break out soon, even if nothing is ordered. There's only two ways to control the situation. Either pull the troops back or tell them to engage. The soldier shuffled nervously where he stood, shifting the weight of his gun back and forth. He stared across the crowd, stirring, far too close by. He thought he recognized some of those faces, or would have, if they were not twisted in utter loathing of him in his uniform. What was he even doing? Was he standing with the right people here? Order of withdrawal from American Hormuz, extra state penalties from turmoil, 50-50 chance the Bedouin National Movement secession progress goes up or down by 5%, or the people in the army are one. Let them talk it out. This is available because we've got national militia. 33% chance that we get 33% of servicemen pops becoming more radical and the movement secession go up. 66% chance 2% of pops become more loyalist and the secession goes down. Let's click it. It went down. Excellent. So we should see a real spike in loyalists, unless that was only in Hormuz, in which it will be barely noticeable. But I don't think it didn't say it was. Okay, never mind. That's fine. Lovely. All right, Sokoto is now under our control. I will begin improving relations with them, and all will be well. We're still improving relations with the German Empire. We've got a little bit more influence to play with. So this is good. And now we've got to keep chilling on our infamy for the time being. We're still experiencing a lot of transportation shortages. I wonder if I should take a moment to build that stuff up. Private sector isn't doing that much. Law progressive study, that's very good. Well, okay, so now they're starting to build some railways. All right, that should be fine then. With that having been said, I think I want to build up a little bit more construction capacity. I want 32 more levels. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. Put those all the way at the top of the queue. And they'll get done real fast, then we'll all be in a happy place. Shortage of munitions. Interesting. What do I built up a pretty significant increase to the munitions industry the other day. So I wonder if it's a profitability issue. Ooh, I could do arcades. Heck yeah. Oh, and public motor carriages. Heck yeah. Yeah, it's a weird profitability issue. Why are so many of these unhired? That's so weird. Well, it is what it is. I'm not going to touch that. NCO training unlocked. Excellent. Upgrade all units. Bedouin politician speaks out. Abdurrahman ibn Ahmad, leader of the armed forces, one of our nation's most prominent Bedouin figures, has spoken out in favor of an independent Bedouin nation. My political goals may have been shaped by my upbringing, but I have never let my Bedouin background define them. However, it looks increasingly like it is the only criteria by which the United States of America intends to define me. Tell the armed forces to keep this traitor in check. Armed forces become very unhappy. Bedouin National Movement secession goes down by 10%. The movement gets weaker, but the activism gets greater. Ignore these pointless ramblings. Armed forces unhappy, and he loses popularity. Or perhaps it's time the movement is heard. Reduce movement activism, increase movement pop attraction. You know what? I think that third one might just clinch it for us. Because minus 10% activism might drop their activism below revolutionary. Yeah, it's gonna. Alright, beautiful. That should buy us some time to continue with the incorporation. Alright, and the private sector is already dealing with these things. So we got low organization in the regular army. We need a leader. Oh, Chaffee retired or something. Alright, let me see. Ulysses Kebalt is already has high command capacity. Let's bring him in. So that means one of our other armies is going to be a little low. The Army of Observation. Alright, let's grab a general for them. Oh, Nagasi Seged is really bad. Shell Shock's terrible. You know, let's leave this army be. I do not want to put a Southern Planters guy in charge of one of my armies, especially one of my large armies. So we'll just leave that be for now. Alright, how are things going? Things are mostly going okay. The industrialists are happy again because of the colonization thing. And soon we'll be expanding into Africa. We got our institutions hurtling towards level 5, which is pretty expensive for our government overall, but I think I can take it. Electricity shortages. In Maryland, Massachusetts, Utah, Blue Nile, and Oregon. Subsidize. Okay, that should be good. Oregon. Yep, subsidy should be enough. Massachusetts. May need to build more levels. Yes. Subsidize and 3 more levels. Maryland and Utah. So Utah first. Local prices, yeah, that'll be fine with the subsidy. And then Maryland. Actually, subsidy will be fine. Alright. That should be good. That should be good to go. Let's slowly queue in some transportation resolution here. So Jaja needs 904 levels. Railways here with electric rail enabled produce 36 per level. Oh, but there's a bunch queued in already. No, I don't need to deal with that. That's fine. The private sector has got it handled. So, revolution in Japan. Republic of Japan versus the Japanese proletarian revolt. They don't want anything, and that's fine. They got it handled, and that's okay. Law progressed to voting. Excellent. Colonization, ahoy. That ended up being faster than I thought it could be. Alright, so what else do we need for our market? Oop. Don't crash, game. We need more rubber. Gosh dang. Let's see. Houseland can output more rubber. And then I think we're maxed out in all of our other areas. At least all of our areas that are in our market. Unless, of course, we get Portugal into our market. Let's talk about... Wait a minute. They changed colors. Why did they change colors? Because of communism. Exciting. Alright, Portugal. Would you like to draft a treaty? First of all, how close are they? Pretty close. Pretty close. Alright. Let's draft a big old treaty. Defensive Pact, Power Block Embassy, unavailable trade privileges. Can only offer this once. Okay, so we've already got that. Investment rights. Can only offer this article once. Right, that's right, because I was doing that thing. And then... Taking your debt of 7 million. It's barely a drop in the bucket at this point. Why do you not want this? Is it because it improves relations too much? And what if I give you some cash? No, I don't need it. You don't need cash from me. All right. What if you gave me Congo? What if you gave me Congo and I gave you a pile of money? You want any boats? You would like a boat. Interesting. That's an option. Let's take a look at money. Money gets us pretty close. Okay, so, what if I gave you a ship or two? Got a lot of iron frigates. Now, you're not really interested in those. I would need to give you some real ships. That's okay, though. What about, let me see, dreadnoughts, modern ironclads, pre-dreadnoughts. What about, or modern ironclads. Modern ironclads, the old ones. You're not interested in any of these. Pre-dreadnoughts, you're not interested in any of these. Dreadnoughts, though. Why are you -1? You say you want these 29. So if I add this, no, that does work. I wouldn't want the USS Weed. All right. So actually, though, what if I transfer some older ships? What if I transfer you some modern ironclads? Let's see how these look. Okay. We'll give you the Kentucky. So that's worth 6. Okay, so not that one. What about a pre-dreadnought? A pre-dreadnought would be worth. What's this number? Veterancy rank. Ah, experience. Interesting. The Arizona would be worth 20. What if I gave you the Arizona and the Nevada? Oh, okay, so the Arizona, and then the Nevada. That would be worth another 20. So that's 9, 45% chance they say yes. And then, what about an armored cruiser, say the Little Rock? That would be worth 5. Okay, so that brings them up to 14. 60% chance they say yes. And, you know, what if I gave them also the USS Bangor? That's 19. 72% chance. You know what? I'll throw in another armored cruiser. You're a tough negotiator, but I believe we can. I'll throw in the Raleigh. I believe we can make a day of it. Okay, only 72%. So the Raleigh didn't give us any extra. 19, and if I cancel the Raleigh, yes. Okay. So I need something to offer in addition to this stuff in order to get, well, 72% chance. Let's try it for 72%, and then we'll see what else comes of it. Okay, they declined, so that's okay. Let's try again. Let's throw in. They would like military assistance. What about a toll exemption? They don't care about that. They want military assistance. If we remove the defensive pact and instead we guaranteed their independence. Where's guarantee independence? This is... Oh, I gotta wait a week. Alright, hold on. We're just negotiating. We're doing diplomacy here. Not enough of an improvement on a previously rejected treaty minimum of 29. Interesting. So I give them military assistance. This will be a huge pile of money for me, but I've got a lot of money. If we do an alliance, or if we do an offensive pact, that'll be good. 36. Let's do it. Things I do for love. Alright. So that gives me control of Congo. And that should give me a barrel full of leverage with which to pull them into my power block, which would be delightful. So, electricity shortage in California. That's something that I didn't expect to hear. Excuse me, local price is at what? 133. So we need a subsidy, but we also need another level, which should be fine. Should be just fine. And there's colonial exploitation. So, time to found some colonies. Not as many colonies as I thought it would be, frankly. But that's okay. They're not isolated. You just think you're isolated. You're not. Bedouin national movement's picking up again. They're going to fall back down. It'll be fine. United States of America's growing colonial empire in Africa, along with new means to prevent malaria, has made us a serious contender for the colonial control of the continent. When I see the continent, I see a raw, unworked material from which anything could be carved. But as often when working with rough materials, mishaps are inevitable. Something breaks, blood is spilled. The United States of America isn't so squeamish as to let a bit of blood get in the way of ambition, are we? Bring out the maps and the strategies. So this activates the Scramble for Africa event. I genuinely don't have any interest in participating in that. Just something happens if all of interesting. Something happens if all of Africa gets taken over by countries that are not in Africa, but whose capitals are not in Africa, but I don't know about that. I don't know what that does for us. I think it might give us, like, prestige or something. Oil in Hormuz. Ottoman diplomatic play, you say? Really? Return Lebanon. Huh. Well, I think I know exactly what to do here. So, what do I want my war goal to be? I think I want to conquer Syria. Because Syria has opium, and I can use that. Yeah. I've got enough supply to do stuff over there now, so let's start by mobilizing some forces. I assume Britain's going to get involved in this. I am much better equipped for this fight than the last one. Army of Observation. Do I raise conscripts? I'm not sure. Expeditionary Force? I definitely do. Regular Army? I think I'm going to get them going right away. Does the troop transfer fleet have enough... Oh, the Army of East Africa needs a general. Sadly, I'm going to have to go with Eugene Crown and Shield. Army of East Africa will, of course, raise their conscripts. Suez Canal Force will raise their conscripts. Suez Canal Force needs a leader as well. Let's go with Elihu Ricks. Trade interdiction fleet. Moses Saxon needs another promotion. So, troop transfer fleet, where are you? You're down here. You may have enough. You have enough to get the regular army all the way over there in 2 trips. So let's go. Alright, so that splits the force, and then this miscellaneous army can get there from the home defense fleet in only 1 trip. I think we're going to put the Army of Africa on that front as well. We'll bring in the Canadians, we'll bring in the Communards, and then we'll all be happy and free. I'm going to send the Atlantic Fleet and the Trade Interdiction Fleet to blockade Great Britain. And we're going to see how well this goes. And there's still a secessionist movement, but I'm not worried too much about that. So I think I'll have the home defense fleet, once they're done transporting these troops, protect shipping in this area. Ottoman Empire backs down. Woo! Excellent. Egypt, old buddy, old pal. How would you like Syria? And I get the silk plantations. Or at least, I don't get the silk plantations, but I get the silk. Let me see. Do we have infrastructure? We certainly do. We're silk maxing. All right. Beautiful. So now, the regular army should be on their way back. Sweden damaging relations. Yeah. Home defense fleet, you can return back home. Regular army, you can go. You're already there. Alright, beautiful. Alright! Freaking Ottoman Empire. You big dummy, why would you do this? Alright, so between the Atlantic Fleet and the Trade Interdiction Fleet, we've got a lot of blockade strength. So maybe I have the ability to fully blockade Britain. We'll find out at a later point. For now, let's bring these fleets home. What is with my cash flow here? It's probably just goods for military upkeep. Well, whatever it is, we're good to go. Something happening in Persia again. Regular army is back incorporated. Ah, yes. The Russians are going after the Persians once again. Well. This time I'm ready for you if you decide to do this, Britain. All right. And I don't suspect anyone else is going to get involved in this. Could do a war goal, but transfer Sweden. That's wild. With that having been said, though, I think I'm simply going to ask for an obligation. I'm happy to help my allies, the Persians. So, I'm going to get all the lads together once again. And I think I'll do the same thing I was doing before. We'll send the regular army. I'll let them get mobilized before we send them rolling, because they've got a lot of mobilization to do. But they should be good. I think at this point, my regular army will be more than sufficient to fight against the Russians. But let's take a look at what their armies consist of. Yeah, they're still using skirmish infantry. They got some shrapnel artillery. Yeah, we're way ahead of them technologically. Yeah, I think this is going to be a very, very straightforward war to win. So, we'll send them via the troop transfer fleet. And then we'll send the remainder via the home defense fleet, same as I was doing before. And let me see. In terms of blockading, I think if I just blockade the Norwegian Sea and the Southern Bight, we should be good to go. Russia backs down. Beautiful. Easy. Oh, and that gives Persia back whatever the thing they wanted. Excellent. Oh, I'm so strong. Oh, my imperial might. My imperial might. Cool. All right. Put our fleets back where they wish to be. And all will be well. Oh, this is very fun. This is very fun. Now I'm a big, strong imperial power, and I can do as I like. The procession of provocations. Dissidents in American Hormuz have announced plans for a march around the government offices in the near future. While they profess peaceful intentions and claim everyone will be unarmed, the march itself will obviously serve as a rallying point for those unhappy with the government. That damn parade and that infernal music. I can't even see them from here, but I can hear them loud and clear. Stop that march by any means necessary. 33% chance each of 2 pops become in American Hormuz become more radical. 10% of lower Southern pops become more radical, and the secession movement goes up. Or the secession movement goes down by 5%. Or let the procession go ahead. 50% chance it goes up or down, and 5% of pops become more radical. I'm going to do the first one. It may have been okay. I need to do something for American Hormuz. Let's build some... so we've got plenty of infrastructure here. We've got the capacity for more opium plants, so let's build a few of them. Do we have a starvation problem here? We do. Let's build a wheat farm and subsidize it. In fact, we'll build a second as well. That should help with the starvation. We'll build a few more opium plantations. We'll build a few oil rigs, just to bring some cash flow to this place. And what else? Perhaps a nice railway. We've already got one of those. We've got a power plant. Maybe we'll do a cotton plantation and a where are we? A textile mill. I think I'll put those at the top of the queue as well. Oh, they're already in the queue. Wonderful. I did it. I did it. I'm the greatest. I'm the greatest. So when you manage your early game pretty well, your late game is just so fun. Portugal, you old so-and-so. I may not actually get enough leverage to get them all the way in, but that's okay. I got myself a tasty colonial state. So, do I have to manually tell them to colonize? No. Colonization's going pretty fast at this stage, and will be going even faster in the future. Only 3 more years of Red Scare. Here's hoping that doesn't go too bad. Wow, We're actually almost at 3 hours already, which has been pretty good. So this has been a good episode. I feel like I've been pretty pleased with my overall performance. I've been doing a lot of flexing my imperial might and just going, how about you didn't, to people, which has been fun. That's entertainment. I'm good. I'm good with that stuff. I don't need that stuff. Also, Brazil. Let's chat. Let's chat. What do I want out of you, Brazil? I don't think I need better relations with Messina right now. Netherlands, we're doing just fine. Oh, actually, I would like to make a purchase off of you, Netherlands. Let me see. Gold Coast, Bougainville, New Guinea, or the Solomon Islands. Or Togo. They've got a bunch of tiny areas. We'll deal with it later. Denmark? How would you be willing to sell me, as was done historically, as one of you pointed out in the comments, thank you very much, for that, the Danish West Indies. In exchange, Fardash. Not much. You would want something else. Guarantee of your independence, perhaps? And not quite as much Dash? Let's do it. I got a Virgin Island. Huzzah! Time to build an oil rig. Through the power of money, all things are possible. Okay, so Gold Coast and Togo are actually two different states. So I'm going to need two different deals with Netherlands to get those. Gold Coast, they want it for 150. Wow. Okay, that's reasonable. 67% chance they say yes. Let's offer. Decline. That's okay. I don't want the Gold Coast that bad. I've got plenty of ability to colonize here. Secessionists protest. Proponents of the Bedouin secession movement have gathered for a public protest. As the crowd began to gather, attention seemed apparent among onlookers and passers-by, more than that which would usually be expected at the site of a political rally. Perhaps the agenda of national independence stirred up thoughts about civil war, or perhaps more likely, it was simply the unfamiliar feeling of finding themselves outnumbered even momentarily by Bedouin people. Break it up? Reduced authority? Armed forces, trade unions, and intelligentsia all mad? Reduce secession progress? Or let them be heard? Stronger movement pop attraction. You know what? Let them be heard. This'll go. This'll happen one way or another. Let me see. Can't build logging camps, insufficient resource quantity. Well, that's curious. Oh, because the total is... Okay, weird. I don't know what to make of that. I don't know what to make of that. Opium plantations can't hire. That's okay, though. Oh, I have silk capacity here as well. Lovely. Let's build some of those. Let's take a look at our silk situation. I know we're importing a lot of silk. Stonks. What if I... Silk subventions are keeping things pretty affordable for my luxury clothes industry. How are the silk plantations in Syria going? They're fully employed. Lovely. Now what if I just reduce the subvention by a little bit? See what that does to the market. Because I'm bringing in a ton of silk, way more than I need for my market, frankly. Okay, we have an event. I think this event is disgusting and prefer not to read it. You can read it if you want to. I'm just going to piss off the industrialists about it. That event's really gross. I don't want to think about that. Alright, so. Cash flow's doing well. Wish I could get a little bit more authority. Because I would love to throw one more consumption tax in there. I wonder if I could, if changing up my consumption tax structure would be at all useful. Oh, I can get more money out of Pennsylvania. Doesn't seem like it. Ooh, automatic bottle blowers for glassworks. That's excellent. No, I can go to automatic power looms for textile mills as well. Let's see if that makes them better. It seems to mostly do. Alright, automatic bottle blowers. Yeah, there we go. Water tube boiler for tooling workshops? No, not even once. Did I take new territory that I need to have I'm in the wrong menu. Production methods reset. Electric streetlights, yes. Ah. I have new colonies and I can electrify them. We can make them shocking. I don't need 2 railways. Oh, private sector is already building one. Lovely. Let's go ahead and get some food production rolling. And some resource production rolling. Alright, that should be enough for now. Still colonizing those areas. Let's go back to full speed here. Germany is going after Tuscany. What for? To take a protectorate. Interesting. I think I may yet let the Europeans fight this one out and see who decides to do what about this. Communards are not involved at all, which is fascinating. Ooh, oil in Hormuz. Don't mind if I do. Tuscany would like regime change in the United Belgian States. You know, I couldn't give a flying one about that, to be completely honest. Let me see. So I could put more oil rigs in here. I'm going to add a few more railways, just so that there's sufficient capacity, and then we'll see what comes of things. This area, actually, our Bedouin national movement has fallen in, Russia sides with Tuscany. That's exciting. Our Bedouin national movement has already fallen in militancy. All right, Ottoman Empire sides with the Germans. Interesting. So what are they going to get out of that? Enforce no tolls on the German Empire. Return cars. Curious. The Ottoman is coming for your cars. Alright, that was really dumb. I apologize. Sometimes I become very silly. Alright, let's get going. Do I want to get involved in this? And if so, on what side? I would love to have another opportunity to shoot at the Ottomans. Getting a truce with the Germans would be nice. Although the Germans could bring in the British. They do have a defensive pact with them. The British are leaning towards, I'll probably stay out. It's fine. Okay, I don't know why my ship construction view is... Okay, there we go. So once these battle dreadnoughts are finished, I'm going to take another look at my fleets and see what they need. And then we'll kind of go from there in terms of fleet expansions, because I think we'll be mostly well. I think I'm going to need a little bit more transport capacity on my 11th American Army. Who are you? Oh, you're the rest of the regular army. Maori National Lincoln. Cool. There we go. That's all sorted out. Alright, 2 more weeks. 1 more week. And 2 more weeks. Alright, perfect. So. Oh, never mind. I wasn't looking close enough, apparently. Couple more weeks yet. We'll probably get to the end of the year and then call it. It's a slightly shorter episode, only just about 3 hours, but, you know, I feel like things have been well. So, nothing interesting happening this November. So, we've got 2 battle dreadnoughts in the queue. And those are probably going to the Atlantic Fleet. Yes. The Atlantic Fleet looks like it's doing just fine in terms of its screening and vulnerability, so I'm happy with where they are. Home Defense Fleet, I think, needs a few more capital ships and cruisers. We'll bring in some battle dreadnoughts. We'll put up... Let's go with 5. And then for cruisers, we'll go with 1... We'll go with 6 torpedo boat destroyers. We do have access to submarines. We'll leave that be for now. We'll go with our general purpose light cruisers. We'll throw in 16. That's the home defense fleet. For the Pacific fleet, we certainly need some real modern capital ships. So we'll build 7 battle dreadnoughts. And then for cruisers, we'll build... Let me see. I think 40 light cruisers should be enough. I want to replace these iron frigates completely. Home defense fleet. We got some light cruisers in the queue. It says we've got light cruisers in the queue, but I didn't see them. Oh, you know what? Maybe I just queued them in. Alright. So Pacific Fleet, Home Defense Fleet. Trade Interdiction Fleet is looking really good. Doesn't have any... Okay, no, we do have raiding dreadnoughts in there. And then was the Oceanic Fleet that we still need to improve? Yes. The Oceanic Fleet. Let's go with 10 battle dreadnoughts. For torpedo craft, let's go with... For this fleet, we'll do some submarines. So, we'll add a submarine template. We'll go with extra armor, because that I pretty much always do that. Submarines are really slow. Never mind. We'll stick with torpedo boat destroyers for the time being. Because torpedo boat destroyers are reasonably fast. Yeah, they're quite fast. Alright. So, we'll do... Let's see. Let's do 13 to bring them up to a nice even 20. For cruisers, we'll do 14 light cruisers to bring them up to a nice even 50. And that should be sufficient. That gives me 10 pages of ship construction. And that should be just fine. Portuguese East Africa colonizing. Delightful. Alright, we're finally going to unite Ethiopia. I finally figured out how to get myself a... get myself some colonization rolling. Ending the slave trade. Sylvester Tallow, leader of the intelligentsia and a well-known opponent of the global slave trade, argues that our colonial ambitions in Kordofan should be leveraged towards ending the practice on the continent. Ending slavery within our own borders is a meager victory in the grand perspective of human history. As long as there are countries in this world willing to sell slaves, there will be countries coming to buy them, and vice versa. The concept must be stamped out wherever it can be found, so that eventually it can be stamped out in the human soul itself. We have a duty to end slavery wherever its power reaches. Extra colony growth speed, extra colonial growth generation. Commitment to this may lead to other events later. Intelligentsia happier. Practical diplomacy must supersede such moralist sentiments. Intelligentsia unhappy. Or the local slave trade could be a good source of workforce for our local projects. Intelligentsia big mad. Extra plantations throughput. You know I'm going to go with pledging to end slavery. We'll see what happens. A 2-aught uprising against the communard government. But that's probably not related to us. All right. I think that is all we've got time for today. We've made a lot of progress. We got Sokoto turned into a protectorate, and they're well on their way to being a subject. We got Egypt properly reduced in liberty desire, and we expanded their territory in here and got ourselves some silk production in the process. We're building up Hormuz to make sure that the Bedouin people living there do not launch a revolt, which looks like it's going mostly pretty well. And other than that, we're in a pretty good spot. Haven't made too many changes to our laws this time through, but we've been kind of holding it steady. We don't have a particularly legitimate government, but next time the socialists or the Democratic Party... Oh, wait. We're going to have a weird breakup here. The industrialists and the petite bourgeoisie are going to trade. So the Republicans are going to have the petite bourgeoisie. The industrialists are going to... And the Democrats are going to have the industrialists. The evangelicals are going to bail. And the Socialist Party is going to stay the same. So who knows what that'll do to our politics. Nevertheless, that is a question for next episode. For now, my nerds, I have had fun. I hope you all have had fun. And I will see you all on the other side.